Hello everybody, my name is Ghost Bunny General and I'm going to be reading KinnPorsche. And before anything, I'm going to give a couple of disclaimers, and that is one, I am not a native Thai speaker, so any words here that are Thai, because this is obviously a Thai book, even though it's translated to English, there are going to be some words that obviously like names, places that will be still in Thai. So if I mispronounce anything, it's not with the intention to offend or me trying to mock the Thai language. I consider it really beautiful, and I am currently trying to learn Thai. Please wish me good luck. I am struggling because it's quite a tonal language, and I am quite tone deaf, so perfect duo, if you will. But I'll see. Also, as you can hear with my beautiful voice, I'm not a native English speaker, so even though I can speak and read English, there will be some words that even in English that I'm probably gonna mispronounce or just, not say as good as a native English speaker would. Also, I like adding commentary. I get really into books, so yeah. Also, before anything, this is not an audiobook. You can treat it as an audiobook, have me in the background just listening to it. I will have a gameplay if you guys, are a bit like me and have a little bit of ADHD and get distracted quite. Pero yeah, no. The gameplay is me playing. It's not stolen footage. It's me playing the game. Pero yeah, like I said, this is technically not an audiobook because it's not like a professionally made. It's not like sponsored, promoted, or anything to do with like neither Seven Seas or with what was the Beyond Cloud. It has nothing to do with any of them. It's just me reading it as if we were friends and we were just having a little book club, little book fun. We were just reading it with each other just for little funsies and stuff like that. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to be reading chapters 4 and 5 in this video. If you guys have not been following along, I do have a little playlist which you guys can see, like the prologue, the chapter 1, and so on until current now, which is chapter 4. So if you guys want to hear the first chapters, you can go there. Pero right now I will be starting with chapter 4. Okay? Yeah. Okay, starting chapter 4. Pressure. We are on Porsche's POV. Okay? Let's begin. I rode my trusty bike, now with a passenger in tow. He looked so depressed that you'd think the world was ending. I was surprised to get a call from Uncle Thee, to be exact, out of nowhere. He didn't answer any of my questions, just asked me to pick him up and begged me to take him home. Get off the bike, I told him. He immediately did as he was told, but his brows furrowed as he watched me kill my bike's engine and slowly push it into a bush behind my house. His brows furrowed further when I hauled myself over the back wall. What the hell are you doing? He asked in confusion. I offered my hand to help him climb the wall. Shh! Be quiet! I shushed him. And hurry up! Uncle Thee grabbed my hand and I pulled him up on top of the wall with me. Then I lowered myself to the other side as quietly as possible. Why do you have to sneak into your own house? He quietly complained. However, he did, he followed me when I beckoned him to come down. I looked around cautiously before I opened the door, trying not to make a sound. Relief washed over me once I let myself in. Phew! That was close, I said. My uncle followed close on my heels and went straight to the light switch. Hey, don't turn on the lights, I warned him. What? He looked at me puzzled. I lit a candle with my lighter. The wax had already burned down by half from when I'd used it last night. Don't ask, I scolded him. He looked at me in bewilderment when I opened, a drawer, took out a woven fan and handed it to him. Use this if you get hot. Don't turn on the AC. Did you not pay the electricity bill or something? I'll kick you for $5 type bad or some shit like that. Like, you good? Like, bitch, you live like this? I ignored him and walked to the window. I lifted the curtain slightly and saw two men dressed in black stalking outside my house on their motorcycles. How long were they going to keep following me? These men had showed up at the bar and my house for like 2 days straight, and it was starting to like get on my nerves. It was annoying. I told Madam Yoke I'd been absent for a few days, and she replied by telling me someone came looking for me. Well, not me, but looking for someone by the name of Jom every single night. It felt incredibly apprehensive when she insisted that I ask Jom to apologize to Mr. Kim. Tell Jom to apologize to him at once. Mr. Kim is not someone to be trifled with. I had never been this freaked out before. People were out looking for me, believing I was Jom. I came to the realization that Kim would not give up hunting for me so easily. Did you piss off the mafia? Uncle Thea asked as he came to peer through the gap in the curtain with me. That's like none of your business, I told him. What about you? What have you done this time? I couldn't tell him. I'd probably there's no proof, but maybe I extorted money from Kim, Kinn, and that he'd sent his men after me, probably to get back to what I owed him. If Uncle Thea found out about this money, he'd ask me to share it, which is like something I don't want to do. Like, come on, it's my money. I extorted the money, not you. Come on. I do all the work and you get no. Me gets all the profit. My uncle sat on my old sofa and heaved out a breath without asking any more questions. Are you back here? Che asked as he came downstairs in a tank top and shorts, furiously fluttering the woven fan in his hand and starting profusely in the heat because, Thailand and the Thai heat will absolutely you. Uncle Thea nodded when Che greeted him. You're here too? Oh wait, wrong person. You're here too, Che? Yes, Che replied before turning to me. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep at my friend's place tonight. Wait, why? I'm tired of sneaking into my own house. I can't turn on the air conditioner or anything. I can't even turn on the goddamn light. All I can do is charge my phone. This is ridiculous. What have you gotten yourself into here? I quickly covered his mouth and shushed him. Quiet. He frowned at me, tried to pry my hand away. Fine. Wait, wrong person. I'm terrible today. Fine. You can go to your friend's place. Call me once you get there, okay? And don't forget to go through the back, okay? I insisted. After I let him go, my brother rolled his eyes at me and went back upstairs to pick his things up. Porsche, do you owe money? Like you owe someone money? Uncle Thea asked his face perplexed. No, it's nothing. Like, no. Anyways, what about you? What happened? Got you. Checkmate. The turntables have turned. I turned the question back on him, my voice serious. I put my hands on my hip. He really likes doing that. As I waited for his answer. You just realized Porsche likes putting his hands on his hip. He mentions that a lot. He's really hands on my hip, on my hip. I need money, he said. I sighed. That was not the first time I heard about his plight, and it was getting tiresome. Uncle Thea had been in debt more than 10 times over the past year. I couldn't help him. I was just as broke as he was. Like, brokey helping brokey? The math isn't mathing. I don't have any cash. Oh, yeah, I don't have any cash. You know that. I pawned my mother's gold to get, you out look, I don't have cash, I'm broke and I don't got money, okay? I pawned my mother's gold to get out of debt last time, I said, dismissing him and going to the kitchen to get some water. But you have to help me this time. What the fuck do my uncle cried, pulling at his hair like a madman. I don't know what else to do. How much? Just come on, just take off the band-aid. How? Just tell me. He bit his lip, glancing at me nervously before speaking in a tiny voice. Oh yeah, now he's singing tiny. Maybe 5 million. No, 5 million baht or so. I choked on the fucking water. I was drinking straight from the bottle, humming violently. What? It's different this time. He's definitely gonna kill me. I need you to help me, Porsche. He pleaded hysterically. Are you like crazy? Where am I supposed to find 5 million baht? I was telling the truth, honestly. All of his previous debts had been, a couple 100,000, and we could casually scrape together some money from selling some of our remaining possessions to pay off what he owed. I thought the last time would be the end of it, but I was obviously wrong. I had no idea how I was supposed to help him this time. I don't know, but you've gotta help me. He anxiously pieced, but back and forth, muttering gibberish to himself until something he said alarmed me. Damn it! I already put up the house as collateral. What do I do? What in the absolute flying fuck? Which house? I asked, remembering that my uncle's house had already been seized to pay off another debt. He'd been spending all his time at the casino lately, and he only visited me here occasionally. You mean your house, right? When he gave me a guilty look, a sinking feeling took hold in my heart. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do. I will literally strangle you. I stared at him in disbelief, unable to fathom what I had just heard from my own uncle. I rushed toward him desperately, hoping that I had misheard him. Don't tell me you... Yeah, I put this house as collateral. He finally confessed. He'll seize if I don't pay him. If I don't repay him in 3 days. He pressed his fingers hard against his temple as if trying to calm his nerves. My knees almost gave out. This house was mine, the only remaining inheritance my parents had left for me. I couldn't believe my uncle would do this to me. I tried to pull myself together and walked straight to the drawer where I kept the ownership documents. When I saw an empty folder, I glared at my uncle in fury. I was too angry to speak. The man was too angry to speak. I just turned 20, so this house would be legally passed down to me soon. Uncle Thee had been our legal guardian, taking care of... in paper, he was taking care of us, and our inheritance until I reached adulthood. He sold a lot of our stuff, but he promised never to touch this house. It belonged to my little brother and me, but now, how could he do this to me? My own uncle. Sorry, he said quietly. I really wanted to punch him for what he'd done to me. He was the only relative my brother and I had left. He should have been a man I could rely on. But he was nothing but trouble. 3 days? 3 days? I repeated his words, reminding myself I only had 3 days left to live in my own home. In 3 days, I need to find the money to pay off my debt and reclaim the house. The total's about 5 million. He rasped, looking at the floor and the feet. Bang! Crash! The silence that had fallen over us, shattered by the loud noise of someone bashing the door with something hard. I whipped my head around at the sound, and my eyes widened, and what I saw... Shit! I yelled. A group of men in black suits stormed into my house, followed by a familiar face. His tall figure exuded power and confidence. Mr. Anakin! My uncle cried. He jumped off the sofa, equally shocked to see him. I stood still, too stunned to do anything, when the man I had been avoiding suddenly appeared in my house. With all this that kept happening to me lately, I had no idea what to do now. What? Can one thought be processed before the other thought just smashes itself in? I tensed up. Glaring? It's Glowering. Glowering? That. At him. How did you get in my house? Oh, it'll be my house in 3 days, though, he replied in amusement. I glanced at my uncle to confirm that Kinn was the one he was indebted to. My uncle simply nodded. Yeah. What's with all that noise? Che asked as he came down the stairs. He looked at the strange men in our house and frowned. Who are these people? Go back to your room, I told my little brother sternly. I was not ready for him to learn the details of the current situation. Keep him innocent, I guess. Che refused to do what I said, approaching me and demanding an answer. Why? What's going on? I got my eyes locked on Kinn, who, he stood languidly with his hand in his pockets, entertained by the scene unfolding in front of him. Get back to your room, please. My brother's face faltered. Will you be okay here? He asked nervously. Just go, I'll be fine, I said. I watched my younger brother slowly retreat to his room, waiting until his door was closed before returning my gaze back to Kinn. I was still in shock. Everything had happened so fast, I couldn't comprehend the situation. Well, Uncle Thee mumbled when no one else spoke up. Why did you come here, Mr. Anakin? Why, can't I come? Half of this place belongs to me, doesn't it? He quipped. His callous attitude made me clench my fist in anger. Well, could you give me more time? My uncle tried to bargain. 3 days, Kinn sneered. 5 million baht. If you want to, reclaim your property deed, that is, as well, that'll be 6,200,000 in total. My heart sank as I heard the numbers. Talking about my house like it meant nothing had me itching to punch him right in the face. His arrogance pissed me off so much that it rendered me speechless. But, Mr. Kinn, Uncle Thee pleaded. Kinn lifted his broad hand, stopping my uncle mid-sentence. Although I do have an alternate offer. My uncle's eyes lit up, looking at Kinn expectantly. What is it? Tell me. I'll do anything if you give me a chance. I was dumbfolded when Kinn suddenly pointed his finger at me. You, he exclaimed. Come work for me. Work for him? Huh? If you work for me, I'll extend his payment term to 2 years. 2 years, yeah. I stared at Kinn, but I couldn't figure out his intention. Excusez-moi. Work? My uncle asked. I want this guy as my bodyguard. If he agrees, I'll talk to my father about your terms of payment, Kinn told my uncle. I took a deep breath, trying to wrap my head around everything I just heard. In the end, I scoffed. Who do you think you are? Are you really someone that's, so high profile that you need a bodyguard? I wanted to laugh in his face. Was he really that fuck-all delusional? Did he think he was in a mafia movie or something? Quiet! My uncle hissed at me. What the? This is your problem. Don't drag me into this. Come on, it's your mess. I snapped. I was completely fed up with my uncle. I wanted nothing to do with him anymore. I couldn't figure out how I could go, how I got into this messed up situation in the first place. Not only did Kinn want me to work for him, but he also wanted my house. What the hell? Then you can say goodbye to your house, Kinn said. This is my parents' house. I spat through gritted teeth, my body shaking with anger. With my hands curled in fists, I couldn't. I launched myself at Kinn. My eyes burned with rage when two of his bodyguards immediately blocked my advance. It'll be my father's house soon, Kinn replied with a smirk. This asshole knew exactly what to say to piss me off. Fuck you, I yelled. Stop it. If you want to keep your house, just do as he says. My uncle tried to warn me. But this isn't my problem. Why do I have to work for him? What? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Kinn asked. What am I afraid of? I yelled. Are you insane? Who in their right mind would want to risk their life for you? You want someone to do your dirty work, yeah? And by bodyguard, do you mean someone who takes the beatings for you? Or do I have to threaten people who owe you money? What you doing to me right now? What would my brother do if something happened to me? That was probably the most words I'd said at once in years. I never wanted to get involved in like this. It wasn't worth the risk. I knew my life would be in danger if I decided to go down that path. And I had my little brother to worry about too. You have 3 days. If you can't do it, leave, Kinn reminded me. I roared and hurled myself at him again, knowing I'd never get past his bodyguards. They came after me all at once. I'll get my house back. You hear me? I screamed in frustration. Just stop. Don't be a fool, my uncle shouted as he tried to block me from reaching Kinn. He shoved me hard, driving me backward until my back hit the wall with a loud thud. I scolded at my uncle, silently cursing him. Cursing him for everything he'd done to drag me into this mess. I screamed and yanked at my hair, all the while wondering how the hell I was going to get my house back. Everyone quietly stared at me. I glared back before I finally spoke. If I just want my house back, how much do I have to pay? How much? Kinn turned to ask one of his men. 1.2 million, sir? The man replied. Hey, my uncle yelled. Don't do this to me. If I can't pay him back in 3 days, I'll die. Go over Mr. Kinn. I'm begging you. No way, I said. I really want my house back. And where will you get the money? I have a job. Unlike some people, I told my uncle. Then I turned to Kinn. Give me some time and I'll get my house back. Very well. What about me? What about my debt? Uncle cried. He shook my arm in a hopeless attempt to beg for mercy. Please, think about it. There's no way you can make $1 million back that fast. At least working for Mr. Kinn, you'll get paid and get your house back. I shook off his grasp. I don't want to be involved. What part of that did you not understand? I yelled. I hate this. I'm worried about my brother. I exhaled audibly, ignoring my uncle. I tried to walk over to Kinn again, but I stopped when his guards refused to move out of the way. Give me 1 year, I said. I'll find the money and get my house back. And where would you and your brother stay during the time? My uncle interjected. That's none of your business, I shouted back at my uncle, who looked like he had lost his mind. I could rent an apartment just for Che and me and work until I saved enough money to get our home back. That way, we'd still, be able to earn our keep. To yourself. But the $5 million will still need to be paid in 3 days. Kinn shrugged and left with a menacing grin. Once Kinn and his men were gone, my uncle finally snapped. He started destroying everything in his reach, shouting, "What the hell have you done? Don't you know they'll kill me if I can't repay them in 3 days? They'll kill me, like literally unsubscribe me from being alive." Yeah, that kind of looks like a you problem, I yelled back at him. Sort it out yourself and leave me out of it. I value my own goddamn life. If I die, it's because of you. And isn't my life a disaster right now because of you? How can you be so selfish? You sold my parents' fortune to save your own ass. Now you're using me to bargain for your debt? Why? Is my life not worth nothing to you? Uncle Thee glared at me heatedly as I yelled at him. I never blamed him for selling our family fortune to pay off the debts, not even once. But this was different. This house was the only remaining thing my parents owed that belonged to me. Now, in the blink of an eye, it had been ripped off from my hands. Fine, call me a selfish bastard, Uncle Thee replied. But don't you have a conscience? I'm your father's brother. Why would you not? Why won't you help me? There's a way to save the house and me, but you won't do it. Who cared for you all this time? Who paid your high school tuition? Me. I clenched my hand silently, shaking with anger as I listened to my uncle harp on about all the favors he's done for me. It was true that he'd helped me a lot in the beginning, but he hadn't suffered from a gambling addiction. He hadn't suffered from a gambling addiction back then. His problems were nothing but trouble for my brother and me, and this time, it was far worse than anything that had come before. I took a moment to think. I wondered whether or not it was worth risking my own life to work for Kinn, just so I could clean up this mess and keep my brother and uncle out of harm's way. Should I? Please don't. Don't do it, Hia. I looked up at the sound of my younger brother sniffing loudly. As he hurried down the stairs, Che threw himself at me and hugged me tightly, buried his face in my chest. My heart ached to see my little brother so vulnerable. I fought hard to hide how weak I felt, to push it down to the depths, to the deepest and darkest corner of my heart, as I lifted my hand to gently stroke Che's hair. Che had probably heard everything and figured it all out. When I remained silent, Che begged me in a shaky voice, "Please, don't take the job. It's dangerous. I can't lose you here." This was the only reason why I would not risk my life. I could not die and leave my little brother alone in this world. Che had already suffered enough. Everything I did was to protect my little brother and keep him safe. I loved him more than anything. More than my own life. It's okay if we lose this house. We can stay anywhere. Just don't leave me, please. Che continued to plead. His arms tightened around me even harder, as if feared I would disappear. Okay. Listen to me, punk, Uncle Thee interrupted. Your older brother won't die that easily. He fought all the time in high school, and here he's alive and well. Don't tell me you're a coward now, Porsche. I clenched my jaw and glared at the man I was loath to call my uncle. I could not believe my father's brother, who said he loved Che and me like his own children, would tell me to risk my life for a bastard like Kinn. I reflected on the last 2 days of getting mixed up in Kinn's business. The men hunting Kinn down weren't afraid to use knives and guns. It was unlike any brawl or fistfight I'd been in, and there was no doubt in my mind that I should stay the hell away. I would not put my life on the line for Kinn. I could never risk causing Che any more pain. I cared for my little brother more than anything in the entire world. No, I won't do it. My brother and I quickly packed only the essential and went straight to Tem's apartment. I couldn't stand being in the same house as that man anymore, and I couldn't respect him as my uncle either. Uncle Thee was still shouting at me when I left. He kept alternating between blaming me for ditching him and trying to convince me to take the job as Kinn's bodyguard. I tried my best to stop myself from hurting the only family member we had left. Come in, man. Have a drink, Tem said when we arrived at his place, pouring a glass of water for me and Che. Thank you, Che said softly. Tem turned to me, his face full of concern. So, what happened? Sorry for bothering you, I mumbled, staring off into the empty space of Tem's balcony. Bothering me? Cut the bullshit. You're my friend. You know you can come here anytime, okay? Tem insisted, so tell me, what's wrong? Anything I can do to help? I felt his hand squeeze my shoulder and turned to look at his handsome face. He was looking at me with genuine concern. My house was seized, I finally replied. What? Tem hissed in shock and confusion. What happened? Uncle Thee put it up as collateral for his gambling debts. It pained me to say my uncle's name. It hurt to even think about him. Shit, Tem swore. He and John knew that my uncle, what my uncle was like, so I didn't need to explain any further. He could fill in the rest. We sat quietly for a while before Tem asked, So what's your plan? I shook my head. Everything happened so suddenly, I still had no idea what to do. I'll only trouble you for tonight. Oh wait, sorry, wrong person. I'll only trouble you for tonight, Che told Tem, breaking the silence. Tomorrow I'll stay with a friend. You can just stay here, Che. Both you and your brother, Tem said seriously. It might be a bit crowded, but you can both stay as long as you like. Thanks, but I'm okay, Che said politely, declining Tem's offer. I'll stay with a friend tomorrow. My brother can stay with you. I told Che I'd find a room for us. I promise. I'll be out of your hair soon, but for now... Oh, shut up! Tem cut me off before I could finish. Don't act like we're strangers. You can stay here. I want to help you, Porsche. Although my life had taken a drastic turn, it seemed like I still had good friends I could count on. Thanks, man, I said sincerely. By the way, have you told John about all this? Tem asked. I was going to go to John's place at first, I said. I called him a few times, but he didn't pick up. He's probably asleep. Yeah, I've been trying to reach him since earlier in the evening, and he still hasn't texted me back. Maybe he got laid. Temp joked, trying to lighten the mood. He was a good host, turning on the TV and bringing us snacks and drinks to cheer us up. Make yourself comfortable, okay? Want to use the shower? You two can sleep in my room, in my bed tonight. I'll take the sofa. No, I really don't want to impose. Che can share the bed with you. I'll take the sofa, I insisted. Tem and Che agreed without protest. It had been a really long day, and I was exhausted. I couldn't work at the club. My house was seized. My entire life had turned upside down. Hopefully I could get back on my feet tomorrow and start working again. I had to save up to buy my house back from Kinn. The next day. What the hell is wrong with Jom? Tam swore. He called Jom for the upteenth time with no answer. Our afternoon classes had finished, but Jom had yet to show up. Nobody had been able to get a hold of him since yesterday. Jom usually left a message in the group chat if he was sick or absent, but this time he'd gone completely MIA on us, like he'd been kidnapped. Dun dun dun. Tam and I stopped trying to reach him, thinking he'd return our calls eventually. I went back to Tam's apartment and started looking at listings online for cheap rooms nearby. I jotted down a couple of places that I could afford. Then it was time for me to get dressed and head to work at Madame Yoke's. Sorry, I don't know why I said that like that. Eek. Not again. The moment I secured my bike kickstand in the parking lot, I screamed a loud scream. Well, I heard a loud scream. Oops. Alarmed, I whipped my head toward the source of the familiar voice. The sight of an anxious crowd gathering at the entrance of the club gave me a bad feeling. I pushed through the crowd and entered the club. "What's going on?" I yelled. I quickly looked around to see appended furniture and broken glass littering the floor. It looked like war had broken out in here. I came across a familiar figure dressed in a cheapao. She was weeping, collapsed on the floor. "Porsche, we need to talk." I flinched when Madame Yoke yelled at me. Her voice sounded deep and masculine. Completely different from her higher pitch. So she was like, "Porsche, I'm gonna fucking kill you." Deep. Sorry, I can't do a deep voice. Damn. But she went deep. She looked like a man wearing his wife's dress. Oh my. Madame Yoke got up and forcefully dragged me to her office. What happened this time? This is driving me crazy, Madame Yoke screamed, knocking her forehead against the wall repeatedly. Dun, dun. What happened? Who the did you pick a fight with? I cringed at Madame Yoke's strong choice of words. She had never spoken this harshly to me before. Like, sniff. I'm scared. What do you mean? I asked, trying to remember if I had offended anyone recently. I couldn't think of anything beside the issue with my house. Madame Yoke glared at me for a moment, and then she began to loudly weep. "Didn't I tell you not to get in trouble?" she sobbed. Her voice had returned to its typical feminine pitch. She fussed over me while dabbing at the corner of her eye with a Chinese silk handkerchief. I did. Hush! What did you do to offend Mr. Kinn? I eyed my boss skeptically at the mention of Kinn's name. I couldn't recall if I had done anything to offend him, other than calling him a bitch baby at one time, but it doesn't count. He had already taken my house, and the debt of 5 million baht was my uncle's problem, not mine. I thought we'd reached to some sort of agreement before he left yesterday. He didn't ask me to return his watch either. Not knowing what else Kinn had to be mad about, I stared blankly at Madame Yoke. Why am I still saying Yoke? It's Yoke, right? Yeah. I came to him in the bar this afternoon and found one of Mr. Kinn's men watching. He asked if a guy named Porsche still worked here. When I said yes, he hit me with a club and knocked me out. When I woke up, my bar was trashed. "Porsche, what did you do?" "Huh?" Madame Yoke exclaimed, her voice growing more hoarse and masculine toward the end. It was as if she could no longer maintain her composure. "I didn't do anything. Don't bullshit me, Porsche."
That guy even told everyone that he and his men were going to come back and knock some sense into us until we fire you. What the hell? Wait, what the hell? What the hell's going on? I said I usually remained unflappable. But right now, I couldn't help gaping at the absurdity of it all. I should be asking you, what the hell's going on? Madame Yoke spoke tersely, but then her voice softened. I'm sorry, Porsche. But will you please stop working here? She did not look angry with me anymore, but instead looked stuck in an awkward predicament. No, you can't fire me, I begged her. How was I going to save up the money to buy my house back from Kinn if I didn't have a job? Kinn, what the hell did you do? I can't keep fixing up the place every day, Madame Yock said between sobs. But you can't just fire me. I need money, I replied truthfully. I need money to repair this place too. I don't even know where to get the funds for it this time, she said. I looked through the tinted window, separating the office and the bar. The place was a trash heap right now, and some of my colleagues were beaten up badly. I felt terrible about it. I don't know why he's so mad at me, I sighed. I was pretty confident I wasn't the one who started this fight, but I couldn't stop blaming myself for all the chaos that had unfolded here. I'm begging you, Porsche. Please quit. I silently stared at Madame Yoke. The past 2 days had been hell. I didn't know what to do or what to feel anymore. Don't look at me. That darling. You know I love you, but I have to live my own life too. I understood her reasoning. I brought trouble to this place 2 days in a row. I couldn't blame her for wanting me to quit. You can still come back to me anytime. I'm willing to help you with anything except money. For right now, anyway. Alright then. Could you put in a good word for me to Mr. Q? Mr. Q? The guy who owns the bar in the next street over? She asked, raising her brow to me. Yeah, him. Can you ask Mr. Q if I can start working at his place tonight? I really need the money. Are you sure Mr. Kinn won't send his men to wreck Q's place as well? I really had no idea if Kinn would keep sending people after me. I couldn't figure out what his problem was with me. What was. Alright. I'll give Q a call. Wait a second. Madame Yock pulled out her phone and went outside her office to have a chat with Mr. Q. I knew Madame Yock was furious with me for what happened to her bar. Seeing her still trying to help me believe she really did care me. Made me believe that she still cared about me. It's settled. You can start at his place tonight, Madame Yock said when she returned to the office. She told Mr. Q that her place would be closed for the foreseeable future, and she needed a temporary place for her staff to work. That was what she told me anyway, and Mr. Q seemed to accept it without question. Thanks. Do you need me to help cleaning up before I go? I asked. Nah, just go. Q is waiting for you. Madame Yoke shooed me away with a wave. I nodded to her and left, heading to the bar where I would work from now on. Good luck, Q, Madame Yoke muttered to herself. I needed to find a job and make money right away. I couldn't afford to waste any time. I was in over my head and I didn't have time to wonder why everything had turned out this way. This could just be a big misunderstanding. It was possible that the people who trashed Madame Yoke's place weren't Kinn's men, but those thugs I'd pissed off the first night. My first shift at Mr. Q's bar went without a hitch. Mr. Q seemed to have more customers compared to Madame Yoke's, so working there was exhausting. I also had to learn a completely new routine and adjust to working with a different crew. Being a newcomer didn't come easy to me. In fact, nothing was easy for me right now. I was depressed. I kept blaming myself, the gods, and even bad karma for all this shit I had been through recently. Nothing seemed to be going my way. I got distracted by a man and a woman groping each other obnoxiously near the entrance to Tem's apartment, and it made me enter the wrong combination to unlock the door. The man looked up at me in annoyance and tried to pick a fight with me. "The hell are you looking at?" he barked. "Oh, hell," I swore under my breath. "I didn't want to look at you, asshole. You were feeling that woman up in public. I just happened to exist. I happened to be here." I stood my ground and glared back at him. The woman pulled the man into their room before we could start fighting. Thank you, lady. My life seriously sucked right now. I was only trying to get into my friend's apartment and some random guy tried to pick a fight with me. I considered asking Tem to visit a temple with me tomorrow to, give an offering to a monk. Any of them, actually. Maybe it helped get rid of my bad luck. Give Mew an offering. Mew is a monk right now, right? Yeah, give it to Mew. Give him 5 bats and maybe a mango. And maybe 2 cherries. Yeah, that sounds like a good offering. I should be taking it serious. I'm so sorry. I'm so happy for them. Okay, back to reading. Yeah, I felt seriously, I'm just gonna take this so hard. You guys, about Mew and Tool. Okay, back to reading. pero oh my god. Okay, back to reading. I finally got inside Tem's place. His passcode was 1234, and you put 1223. Rookie mistake. Well, I finally got into Tem's place. My life got more demanding with each passing day, and I was totally drained. I tried maneuvering around the room as quietly as possible, figuring Tem would already be asleep, but when I got out of the shower, I saw my best friend standing wide awake in the middle of the room, staring daggers at the wall. "Oh, did I wake you up?" "It's not you. It's my fucking neighbor." Tim nodded at the white wall. Through it, I could hear rhythmic thudding and the loud moans of people in the throes of passion. I realized it was the same wall that separated Tem's apartment from that of the couple I saw earlier. "Earth, can you quiet down?" Tem shouted at the top of his lungs. "I'm trying to sleep here!" Tem hit the wall with his fist, making me jump. But the moans just seemed to get louder. I think that's their kink. Visibly irritated at this point, Tem stomped over to his balcony. He yanked the glass door open so hard that it crashed into the wall with a loud bang. Then he leaned outside and shouted into the room next door, "If you're gonna do it quietly, damn it." "Sorry, man." I was perplexed. I hadn't expected a reply from Earth, the guy next door. I looked at Tem as he slammed the door. Now I remembered he had complained to me about this a while ago. "Is this a guy who likes to have loud sex with women and wakes you up all the time?" I asked, recalling how Tem had said he wanted to move because his next-door neighbor was always making a racket. Tem went to the kitchen to pour himself a glass of water. "Yeah, that's the one," he said. "It's not only women he sleeps with, though. Sometimes it's men," he said. "I fucking hate that guy. I can't stand him." "Shoot you, Earth!" Tim shouted at the wall, sticking up his middle finger. However, his plea went unheard. Earth and his girlfriend were going at it louder than ever. Again, I think that's their kink. I figured Tim was having a stroke of bad luck like I was.
It would be good for us to visit the temple for once. We really needed some good fortune. Let's go. Come on. Let's go get blessed. We definitely need it. Next day. In the car. Should I move with you? Tim asked on the way to the temple. I'm so fed up with Earth being a dick. I was not a spiritual person, nor did I believe in karma. However, all my recent misfortune made me rethink my beliefs. Maybe I could even become a monk to escape these problems, and, as a last result, I'll just dedicate myself to faith. Why don't you turn on some music to drown out the noise? I asked. I'm a light sleeper. Even the faintest sound will wake me up, Tim said, exasperated. We kept making small talk as Tim drove around the university to the entrance of the other side. We remembered there was a temple nearby. We almost reached the entrance when Tim's mobile phone began to ring. Ring, ring. Oh, look, your dad is calling. Tim flashed the screen at me. The caller ID was John. Why do we keep saying dad to everybody? Okay, whatever. Tim turned the phone on speaker. What's up, man? Glad to know you haven't forgotten about us. Help me. A faint, feeble voice replied, Uh-oh. Tim slapped hard on the brakes, bringing his car to a screeching halt. He looked at me. We were both equally shocked. John sounded like he was in pain. Where are you? Tim asked hurriedly. Are you hurt? Help! I'm behind the uni. John gasped out, then started coughing. Tim quietly made a turn and headed in John's direction. A horrible feeling washed over me and as we searched for him. Don't hang up. Tell me where you are, Tim shouted into the phone as we searched for John. We spotted a group of people hovering above a man sprawled helplessly on the sidewalk. Tim put on his hazard lights and stopped his car in the middle of the street. The crowd moved away when we yelled that we were friends of the fallen man. We dashed toward him and gasped, Shit, John! I was horrified at the state John was in. He laid on the sidewalk with his head popped haphazardly against a utility pole. Bruises covered his skin, and his white shirt was stained with dirt and footprints. Hey guys, John said weakly, turning to give us a smile, even though his lips were bloody and one of his eyes was swollen shut. He tried grabbing us as we crouched down next to him. What happened to you? I asked. I don't know. I was buying some grilled meatballs from a snack stall when a guy approached me and asked if I was John and a second year in sports science. When I said yes, he said Mr. Kinn sent me his regards. Then he hit me and dragged me into a van. He beat me up until I passed out. When I came to be, he beat me again. It was clearly difficult for John to speak. His voice was very raspy and his breathing was labored. I clenched my fists and gritted my teeth as I listened to him struggle. Fortunately, he didn't seem to have any critical injuries. Still, I was pissed at Kinn for beating up my friend and for hurting Madam Yoke. It finally dawned on me that Kinn was persuading me to work for him by using my friend's safety as a bargaining chip. I quickly scrolled through my cell phone's call history. I remembered the last 2 digits of Kinn's number, so it didn't take me long to find it. I pressed the call button and it rang twice before he picked up and greeted me with an icy chuckle. What the hell did you do to my friends? I angrily shouted at Kinn. What? I didn't do anything to your friend, he said. Don't give me that bullshit. You beat up my friend, you dickhead.
Oh, that was my mistake. Oopsie. I only wanted my men to say hi to you, John. I don't know why they would pick on your friend, Kinn replied, his voice overly amused. Fuck you. My name is Porsche. Okay? Keep that shit memorized. I yelled. What the hell do you want from me? Oh, so your name is Porsche. I get it now. I went after the wrong guy. Sorry. Oopsie. My bad. I vibrated with fury. God, I know how to read it. It's fury. What's wrong with me? Kinn was laughing like he enjoyed screwing with me. We still haven't gotten there. How did you know that? I mean, how would he not know by now that my real name was Porsche when he was sending his men after me at Madame Yoke's club? Stop messing with me and tell me what you want, I snarled. Come work for me, he said. I will not. I angrily stressed each syllable. By the way, is your little brother called Porte? Kinn asked. I don't want another unfortunate mix-up. I snapped when he mentioned Shay. Okay, so it is Shay. I'm smart. Yes, I will eventually rewatch the show. Don't. But leave my brother alone. And I'm gonna take a photo so you guys can see there is a drawing. So we're finally at the illustration. Looks good. I love how Porsche looks. He looks so miserable. His face. Also, let's just say our precious our precious John, he's in an unfortunate position because it low-key kind of looks like he's giving Porsche a good old block. You know, the Haktua type. See, I can do references too. It kind of looks like that. You'll see when I show you the photo. Well, the illustration. But yeah, I really like the detail. The drawing's really good. I like the style. I should really follow the illustrator on their social media. I'll put their social media if I find it. Yeah, I'll look for it and then I'll post it like here. I didn't mention it last time, but yeah. Where was I? Okay, yeah. Well, I'd love to, but just so you know, your brother's high school is very close to my house. Damn you, Kinn. Just tell me what you want. Meet with me. I hung up and waited for Kinn to send me his location. I was furious with this man. He intentionally threatened Madame Yoke to fire me and he terrorized the people around me. He was doing everything in his power to make me bend to his will. I had to endure all this just because he wanted me as his bodyguard? Screw you, Kinn. You. Chapter 5. The Choice. We're now in Kinn's POV. Ooh. It's been a while. I sat with my legs crossed on a large leather sofa, my arms leaning leisurely on the armrest. My eyes were fixed on the dragon carving on the large wooden door as I patiently awaited my guest's arrival. I particularly enjoyed messing with this special guest's head. He's here. Big, my bodyguard announced his arrival, and moments later, a tall, lean figure appeared at the door. He wore a simple white t-shirt revealing his prominently tattooed forearm. I couldn't help but take a quick glance. Porsche looked around nervously before he finally settled on glaring at me. Shit. Big barked at him, pushing him to sit on a sofa opposite to me. Their room was dead silent as we glared at each other, each waiting for the other to yield. What do you want?
Porsche finally broke the silence, his eyes darting to my bodyguard looming behind him. I had never seen him look so uncertain and afraid before. "Work for me," I said calmly. "No." Just as I expected, he promptly declined my offer. I chuckled a little. "You're more stubborn than I thought." I looked at the man in front of me. Porsche was aggressive and strong-willed. He always acted tough, like he had something to prove. He was prideful to a fault and would never bow to anyone so quickly. Although I was only in my early 20s, I had been, through enough to see right through someone like Porsche. I knew how to handle him. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. I smiled at him slightly. "Doing what?" "Why are you messing with the people around me? Are you doing all this just to get me to work with you?" Porsche demanded. His face remained neutral, but I could feel the anger in every word. "Yep," I said. "You intentionally trashed the club where I work just so I could lose my job? Just so I would lose my job?" Porsche said. "You hurt my friend even when you know full well that Dom isn't me." "I hurt Dom to teach you not to play games with me," I said with a shrug. "Leave me alone." "If I had, would you have come to me willingly?" I sneered, watching his body shake with fury. I knew what made men like him tick, so it was easy to manipulate Porsche to fall into my trap. I could target him directly. I couldn't target him directly. He would have fought tooth and nail to resist me, but targeting the people he loved. I had backed him into a corner, and he had no other choice but to help me. Don't blame me for playing dirty. I tried negotiating with him politely, but he refused to listen. His bad luck was my good fortune, and it gave me the upper hand. I took no pleasure in it, but a certain man like him had to be taught not to screw with someone like me. "Why me? Why do you want me to work for you so badly?" he asked, so visibly irritated. I grinned when Porsche glowered, I still don't get that word, at me. "Because I always get what I want," I said. I spoke the truth. My family was very wealthy, and my father was a formidable man. I had grown up surrounded by loyal servants and bodyguards who catered to my every whim. I always got what I wanted. The greater the obstacle, the more desire, the fiercer I wanted what lay beyond it. Just like I wanted Porsche. "Why should I do what you say?" "Because I will make you. You know what happened. You know what happens if you don't?" Porsche exploded. "Who do you think you are? Huh? How can you be so full of yourself?" "Be?" He tried to attack me, but my men quickly surrounded him. Alarmed, his eyes darted between the looming bodyguards, and he reluctantly returned to his seat. Porsche's martial skills were admirable, but he couldn't take on 10 men simultaneously. He was on my turf now. He stood no chance. "Porsche," I called his name as I leaned forward, resting my forearms on my knees. "I know you don't like being told what to do. I only want you to work for me because of your exceptional fighting skills. That's all." "Yeah, I won't work for you. Try to go fuck yourself." I turned to my men. "Leave us," I said. There were some details I wanted to negotiate with Porsche that I'd prefer my other bodyguards not to know about yet. I didn't want them to think I favored Porsche's skill over theirs, even though I obviously did, but I also really, really favored that sexy, juicy. Never mind. I had to stop thinking about the actors. You know who I'm talking about. And you know what I'm talking about. But Mr. Kinn, Big started, but he snapped his mouth shut when I glared at him. "All right, sir." Big moved to me before turning to Porsche, pointing a finger at his face in warning. "If you lay a finger on Mr. Kinn, we'll kill you. Like for reals."
Porsche kicked the sofa beside him in frustration and yelled back at the retreating figure, "Come find me, one-on-one, you fucking coward! Come on, come on, get." Big scowled back, but said nothing as he closed the door to leave me alone with Porsche. Your bravery is impressive. Oh wait, that was, Your bravery is impressive. I smiled and shook my head at him. He was behind enemy lines, but showed no sign of backing down. Yeah, allow me to repeat myself. I will work for you. Oh wait, fuck. I should just, never mind. Allow me to repeat myself. I want you to work for me. You may also ask for compensation. I made another offer. With how financially minded he was, I knew I could persuade him if cash was on the table. I want $1 million a month, Porsche said. Can you offer that? Puto. I looked at him in disdain and sighed. I knew he was only saying it to provoke me. That isn't funny. Oh wait, that isn't funny. We were realistic. I am being realistic. If you want me to work for you, you gotta pay me $1 million a month. It's like a soccer team's budget. A new player for 10 million baht, yeah? Porsche's tense demeanor completely relaxed when discussing money. Did he think he had an upper hand now? Yeah, but you're not playing soccer. Like, how do I... Porsche, let me hold your hand. You're not playing soccer. Stop touching me. You're still not playing soccer. Yep, stop touching me. No, I need to hold your hand for this. No, please. Why are you blushing? Also, did you think you would work for me for a month? Get paid 1 million baht? Sorry. What was I? Stuff happened. I lost my place. Okay, yeah. Did you think you could work for me for a month, get paid 1 million baht, which happens to be what you need to repurchase your house, and then quit? Porsche tried to stay calm, but his face betrayed him. He seemed surprised that I could read him so easily. He should know better than to try tricking me again. Yeah, then I won't do it for you. How long would it take to save up enough money to purchase your house from me? You're a bartender making a minimum wage. After all, 10, maybe 40 years. I figure, I said truthfully. I'd have done it my way. Porsche butted in. Fine. I pulled out my cell and called Boy. I love these Thai names. One of my men I had scouting Porsche's new workplace. Don't you realize I know where you work now? I stared at Porsche's confused face. Do it, I said on the phone. What are you doing? Porsche asked. Wait and see, I said, getting up from the couch. I walked over to the shelf where I kept my coffee maker and leisurely pressed the button to brew a cup. The room was quiet now. I glanced between the clock on the wall and Porsche. My lips curled up slightly when I noticed him fumbling with his phone. Ding! Porsche's phone rang. He quickly answered. Yes, Mr. Q? Before a deafening shout exploded from the speaker. You're fired! Porsche stared at his phone in disbelief for a moment, and then he leapt up from the sofa. I smirked at him as he stood there, his body quivering with rage as his eyes glared daggers at me. Screw you! He hurled his phone at me, catching me off guard. The unforgivingly hard object hit me squarely in the temple. It had broken the skin. My anger intensified as I felt the warmth of blood begin to seep from my forehead. I closed the distance between us without hesitating, one of my hands instinctively making its way to his neck as I forced him against the wall with a resounding thud. Despite his attempt to shake me off, I managed to pin him down with a sudden surge of adrenaline that accompanied my rage. So we're gonna start fighting again. Got it. Hey, Porsche yelled. He'd slipped not because he was weaker than me, but because I managed to catch him by surprise. Boo. I try to be nice to you, I hissed. My eyes only saw red as I continued to crush his neck. Porsche began to look terrified. When he stopped resisting, I eased my grip, but did not release him. Porsche coughed. I wouldn't be this angry if you hadn't tried to... Oh, fuck, I keep messing up. I wouldn't be this angry if you hadn't tried to play me. I did nothing. Porsche struggled to speak, his voice hoarse. I gave him the list. You told me your name was John. You avoided me when I tried to be civil with you. You bit me. I swore I hadn't wanted to end like this. But I was fed up with him trying to play games with me. I looked for him at the university, at the club where he worked. He also bit my neck when I hadn't done anything to him yet. You deserved it. Also, you liked it. And don't you think you can make your little... don't think you make me your little underling, okay? Also, you're not the victim. You're not the victim, it's me. I'm the victim. I'm the victim in all of this, okay? F you, Kinn. Porsche spat in my face. Though he liked it. That was the last straw. I roared, shoving him against the wall again as I felt his saliva dripping down my cheek. I whipped it away with the back of my hand as I choked him. I couldn't care less if I strangled him to death. Soon he will be choking him, but for a different reason, and saliva will not be removed from his cheek. But that's for later. No one dares to disrespect me like this, I growled through gritted teeth. My grip around his neck tightened as I nearly wrung the life out of him. Mr. Kinn, stop! I didn't notice people had rushed into the room until I felt P-chan attempting to pry my hand from Porsche's neck. A few other bodyguards surrounded me, trying to get me to back down. I finally let go, and Porsche crumbled into a helpless pile on the ground, gasping for air, like a fish out of water. What on earth do you think you're doing? My father shouted at me from the doorway. Oh, Dad, how are you? I shook off the man holding me, looking anywhere but at my father. You alright? I heard P-chan quietly ask my nemesis as he helped him onto the sofa. I told you to bring him here to be your bodyguard, not to kill him. My father said, exasperated. Go outside and take a breather. I'll handle this. And first time in history, we're getting a POV change in the middle of the chapter. What? We're still on chapter 5, by the way. And we're having a POV change. Okay. First time, like I said, will this happen later on in the book as well? Who knows? Pero POV switch back to Porsche. I took several deep breaths, still shaken by what happened. The way Kinn glared at me with such animosity terrified me like never before. His menacing stare made me feel like death himself had come for me. I was paralyzed, standing frozen as time came to a standstill. This Kinn was not the same man I'd met a few days ago. Someone helped me get back up and sit on the sofa. I touched my neck as the dread finally faded and was replaced by intense pain. It felt like I was drowning when Kinn choked me. Each breath I took now was a painful struggle for air. I don't know what is going on between you and Kinn, but let me apologize.
on his behalf, the other man said, his voice deep and authoritative. I looked at the man sitting in front of me. He seemed to be in his 50s, and he exuded an air of power and sophistication. My oxygen-deprived brain still strained to comprehend the situation, so I remained quiet. Another man, in a crisp black suit, politely put a glass of cold water in front of me. Have a drink. I gladly took a sip. My throat was raw from all the coughing. I closed my eyes slightly, letting the cool water soothe the soreness in my throat. I hear you don't want to work for me, the other man said. I opened my eyes to look at him again. With his confident posture and manner of speech, there was no mistaking this man. This man was Kinn's father. Oh yeah, I croaked my reply. Why? I did not want to risk my life, and I want nothing to do with him, I said. What Kinn had done inspired such hatred in me that I couldn't even bear the thought of him. Your life has been in danger since the day you decided to help my son, he said, observing me calmly. Did you think those men would leave you alone? They could have done much worse to you than what my son did. What do you mean? I asked. I still couldn't see why I had to risk my life for someone like Kinn. Kinn had fucked up my life, and spoilers, we'll you later, and it pissed me off. They won't let someone who can go head to head with the nation's most elite fighters fall into the hands of their enemies. I didn't know who that someone was or who they were, but I knew Kinn's father was trying to persuade me to work for him. No way, I still won't do it. Sorry, I repeated. I hear you. Thee is your uncle, right? I stayed silent. His life will be spared if you accept my offer, Kinn's father said. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I don't care what happens to him. Sorry. Yeah, no, I don't give a fuck. I no longer wanted, I said, I no longer wanted anything to do with that man I used to call my uncle, offering to ensure his safety had no effect on me. You can forget about it, I thought. I figured his useless life means nothing to you. He chuckled, relaxing on the couch. His father had reminded me that, Uncle Thee was yet another reason my life was so screwed up. I'm leaving. Tell Kinn to stop harassing the people around me, I stressed, standing up to leave. However, the ensuing response from Kinn's father stopped me in my tracks. If it isn't Kinn, someone else will continue to harass you regardless. You might fare even worse. You have a little brother, yes? Leave my brother alone, okay? I hissed, glaring furiously at the older man. Oh, I wouldn't do something like that, okay? He said with a laugh. The way Kinn's father chuckled reminded me so much of Kinn. Why are they related? I hate it. And I was pretty sure that my hunch was correct. Take my offer, and I'll pay you 50,000 baht per month. That will be enough for you and your brother to live comfortably, right? Or do you want him to struggle? There was a clear threat in his words, contradicting the softness in his eyes as he looked at me. I was at loss for what to do. I don't want to take your offer because I don't want my brother to suffer. I finally confessed. I had already broken enough suffering down on the people around me. With your skill, you would not die so easily, Kinn's father said. I suggest you focus on providing a better life for your little brother, rather than dwelling upon your fear of being killed. Additionally, if you accept my offer, I assure you that I will take excellent care of your brother. You won't have to worry about his safety or his school tuition any longer. I couldn't grasp why Kinn's father would do so much just to get me to work for his son. Are my fighting and self-defense skills really that remarkable? I'm proposing this offer because I require your talents, he said. it's not enough? If there anything else you want? I mean, is it not enough? Is there anything else you want? He gestured with his arms open, suggesting he would consider any request I made. My house, I said. I want my parents' house back. I knew what I wanted was impossible. I did not expect Kinn's father to even consider it. To my utter shock, he said, "Oh, that is? That's all? Okay, all right. I mean, all right. I'll return the house to you." I could not believe this intimidating man would accept my outrageous demand. I wasn't sure whether I was delusional. It was delusional to think that Kinn's father was merciful. It certainly was contrary to his ruthless appearance. Anything else? My compensation. I want $100,000 a month. I pushed, trying to see if I could ask for anything. I was totally unaware. His persuasive tactics were starting to sway me. "Oh, that's a bit much," he said, beams. "How about 80,000? I pursed my lips together. The pressure and worry began to melt away, leaving only a sensation of comfort and relief. This man reminded me so much of my own father, the way he talked, the way he looked at me, the way it felt in his presence, very father-in-law-y, if you will. An image of my father and Porsche, my little brother, suddenly crossed my mind. Oh, and your mother was somewhere on the sideline. She was there, I think. You kind of squinted a little bit. Other than that, I was reminded of my parents' funeral. Yeah, thank goodness you didn't remember your mom here. I made a solemn vow at my father's grave. Not my mother, but just my father. Fuck her, I guess. At my father's grave to look after my brother the best I could. But now, I couldn't even save our house. The generous offer Kinn's father had made already made me reconsider my initial decision. However, when I looked at Big, Kinn's bodyguard, who threatened me earlier, I came up with another condition I wanted from this arrangement. I get to be their leader, I said. Big's jaw dropped open. He was about to say something, but a piercing gaze from Kinn's father silenced immediately. That was my intention, the older man laughed. I smirked as Big stood flabbergasted, his body trembling with anger. That was a small victory, I'm going to be honest with you. 1 point for me, 1,000 for everyone the fuck else. I won't wear that stupid suit either, by the way, I said. I'll wear my normal clothes. Kinn's father burst out laughing. Did you think you were going to be a bodyguard or a CEO? I like this man. I felt more relaxed around him, so I prodded further. Well, can I? Fine, but only at home, alright? Do me a favor and wear a suit when you go outside with my son, otherwise it looked unprofessional. Come on, we got like protocols and shit like that. Is that all? I suddenly remembered something. He wanted me to be Kinn's bodyguard, right? Fuck, why him? Why not you? What if Kinn kills me? I won't let him do that, he promised. How do I know you really mean it? That my brother will be safe and you'll return the ownership of my parents' house to me? I asked. You should already know who I am, Kinn's father said. I have been in the business long enough to know better than to risk my reputation over such trivial matters. I'm a man of my word. You guys enjoying my old man voice? Just asking for me. I am my own friend. He did not sound like he was simply bragging. His words reassured me, and I could not find any further reason to decline his offer as I had initially intended. If ensuring the safety and well-being of your brother means putting your life at risk, as appears to be the case now, then consider accepting my offer. I've already accepted your conditions, and I have never been this generous with literally anyone the fuck else. I'll think about it, I told him. I needed more time to carefully consider everything. Admittedly, I was already inclined to accept his offer. However, my mind kept flashing between the images of my brother being happy in the future and the memory of him in tears these past few days. Without a doubt, this was a tough decision. When can you give me your answer?
Kinn's father asked. I paused as another thought arose. Although I no longer wanted to consider Uncle Thea as part of my family, he was still someone my dad had cared for very much. I want to ask her one more thing, I said, and waited for him to nod before I continued. If I accept your offer, please spare my uncle his life and extend his payment term as you wish. And tomorrow, I'll give my answer tomorrow, I said. After our negotiations, I rode my motorcycle back to Tim's apartment. I kept mulling over the decision I had to make. It was a critical choice. My entire life would hinge on this. If I accepted the offer to be Kinn's bodyguard, my brother would be taken care of and my uncle's life would be spared. Otherwise, I needed to find a new job to repurchase my house. I would also sever ties with my uncle. Our lives would be difficult, but at least my brother and I would have peace of mind. Which option should I choose? A conversation between Boss, Corn, and Chan. You guys couldn't put like a comma somewhere there? Why don't you agree to all of his requests? Isn't it a bit too much? We should just let him go. He's not the only good fighter out there. I did consider that. I didn't want to waste my time with such a nuisance. Then why? Because I know who his father was. Dun dun dun. Well, we're gonna finish right here, and that was the end of chapter 5. You guys been liking my readings? Like, comment, subscribe. YouTube shenanigans. Yeah. That's about it. Bye.